Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through those fears and live an awesome life. Let's talk about the story in the head. I'm going to start sharing some little tips and practices for how to break through fear from my e-course that I'm releasing. Hopefully we'll have released by the time you watch this. And there are some practices that can help you get past the things that block you, that is making you feel bad, but is self-driven. Everything's always self-driven. So today we're going to talk about the story in your head. Everything is driven by the story in your head. Everything. No, it's not, Landria. It's that person at work who tortures me. No, it's the story you tell yourself about the person that tortures you. If the story changes and you perceive the entire situation differently, that person doesn't have to bother you at all. And herein lies the challenge, because some of these things are irritating. Let's say this person's very irritating at work and you just can't take it anymore. Here is your valuable lesson and practice to be put into place to achieve your higher frequency. It's not to be avoided. That's the very thing that's going to take you to the next level. And we all get challenged. I know I do. I get challenged and I say, ooh, I got to work on that. That's something that still shows up as a human being. You'll still have those things that show up. And then the higher frequency that you're on, the less it will really affect you. You know that it has no importance on the material world at all, other than the ability to use it to become something greater. So these challenges, these things you may think as negative, are actually some of the best things that could happen to you to allow you to become an awakened being. And we all want to awaken because all abundance, all joy, all peace lies there. And that's what we're here for, because all these things you want to strive for, I'll get all this stuff first, doesn't work that way. You achieve the higher level, the higher frequency, and all those things reside there. Does that make sense? You're resonating on the highest frequency of love and light, and that's what you want to connect to, because you can create and manifest in a moment's notice. So, what's the story you're telling yourself? I am a victim. My parents didn't treat me as well. All these excuses. Blah, blah, blah. Not seeing the gift in them. Not seeing that you programmed everything in advance to allow yourself to achieve those higher goals of breaking through, of being able to forgive people, of finding compassion where maybe you're finding anger. All of these things are absolutely in place for your betterment. How are you going to use it? What's the story? Change the story. The issue is, the challenge is, there's a belief behind that story. So I always tell people, fear is not the issue. There's no fear if there's no belief that there's something negative that resides in this world. If you don't believe anything like that, there's no such thing as fear. It doesn't exist. Because there's no story, negative story you're telling yourself that says you have to be afraid of something, or that you're going to lose something, or that you're going to have something you don't want. It starts with the story. How do you change the story? What are you believing that creates that story? Change that story. If there's one thing going on right now that disturbs you, change the story. I have somebody, I did get a kick out of this. You know, here we go. More talk about the bodhisattvas. Oh, now I've decapitated them. The material world, what are you believing and thinking about things? If somebody is peaceful and they're residing in peace, bug off. It's none of your business. Believe what you want to. Focus on you. focus on you, not what somebody else is doing, what they're about, what they should do or what they should think. We're always trying to make everybody change for us. What are you doing? And if you're around those energies that don't work for you anymore, shift out of them. Sometimes you got to walk away from the negative energy. It could be relationships, it could be a lot of things. You may have to limit yourself with even family members that are negative. Sometimes they get the message. Wow, so-and-so doesn't want to spend any time with me anymore. Maybe I'm a negative person. Geez, it didn't feel real good last time we were together. What are you doing? You're in control. Always. You get to choose the story. Can you see passion, can you feel compassion for somebody else, or are you criticizing them? I get very frustrated sometimes, and I'm like, I just want to grab somebody and say, do you know what you're doing to yourself? What is going on? But that's not my jurisdiction all the time, unless they want it to be. Somebody asks me, and sometimes I just want to see them really excel, but sometimes you have to let it go, allow other people to fall. And who are we to say that what we believe they should be doing is the right thing for them? Maybe the thing they need most is to go to the deepest, darkest level of pain. So we have to accept that everything is exactly as it should be. And that's the story. I need to do this. I need to change this. I need to tell Landria, be respectful. But you don't know me. You don't know what I believe or think. Focus on you. What are you doing? What do you believe in? Are you sitting back and telling people how what they think and believe? It's a real drain on your energy to do that. Can you just see the world and say, wow, we took on the most challenging planet in the universe? I have to tell you, I do very often say, this is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Even on ourselves, even when you go in a peaceful place, you will come in and out of that. It's a lot of work. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're not awakened or that, you're sliding back. It just means that you have got to constantly work on you and be completely open to light and love, compassion. See the world as beautiful, despite all of its choices. These are experiences, and now we're trying to pull out of this. Be that light. Be that higher frequency. Change that story. If there's anything negative that comes in your head, your feelings, anything, say, oops, what's that story I'm telling myself right now? Because there is one. What can I change it to? Oh, so-and-so, they're this and that. And you go, okay, I got to change the story. That is a beautiful person. They're going through a tough time. I had this recently happen. Somebody that was just very tough to be around. It challenged me. And I realized that person's going through something. And that what they're spewing out is a reflection of what they're feeling inside. So instead of listening to what's being said, I had to reprogram and say, okay, what's going on that's causing this person to be really irritating, right? Going to this space that was negative. And I thought, they're in a negative space right now. They're not feeling positive. So try to be compassionate if you can in certain situations that are going to test you the most. This is what's going to raise your frequency and theirs. Not the things that are being said or all the dynamics. Pull above it. We got to pull above this and say, I can't listen to what's being said. That's irrelevant. What's happening? What are the dynamics happening in this situation? And what's my story? My story is that here's a person that's hurting, they're in a dark place, and all stuff that's coming out is a reflection of the darkness inside, and that all we can do is bless them and say, okay, maybe I need to step back from this and not be around it. Not criticize it, not judge it. That's tough. It's tough. The more you're exposed to it, the tougher it is. It's easy to sit, in a cave somewhere and meditate and be enlightened. Go ahead and expose yourself to some stuff that's really gets under your skin, right? That's the work we have to do. Are you ready to do the work? I still have a lot of work to do. No matter how many insights you get, no matter how much you go to these higher levels, no matter how much you know, no matter how beautiful you feel, no matter how you feel, love the world and all these other things, there will still be situations along the way as a dense human being in these bodies that will take you to new levels and experiences that allow you to continue to raise that frequency. It's really good. You could go into a fourth, fifth dimension. So every time you think, I thought I was awakened, and why I'm feeling this stuff, and you find yourself doing some things, then pull back and say, wow, I can keep going. Here's another experience for me to raise that notch. I can raise my frequency again, because I still have a little work to do here. Let's look at this situation. What's that story? Because anything that's negative, it's not true. It's not true. It's created. Somebody else could tell a completely different story. Truth cannot be changed. So if somebody can look at something and have a completely different story, it's not true. It's just true for them. What's your truth? You are whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. It's tough to go into that space sometimes, I know. Even when you have a great life, it's tough to stay in that space because stuff goes on out there, and we have got to tell ourselves the story that we can move past it. We have to raise our frequencies, and in turn, those frequencies will raise. And that's our mission. Did you send light and love across this planet today? It makes a difference, You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. That is from the Master Key System. A wonderful book you might want to explore. Namaste.